Here we are. My fault. My fault. My fault. Can you guys hear me? My fault. My fault. My fault. I was fumbling through Windows Trash 11. My fault. My fault. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. And we're gonna have a little bit of discussion today about some stuff. Perhaps might discuss a little bit of the trash in Windows, as you know that we have problems every single fucking day. And Microsoft is one of the companies sabotaging me, so we'll get into some of that a little bit, I guess. But that's not what I want to start with today. What I'd like to start with today is the fact that we have we have something to talk about. If I can find, I mean, this is just ridiculous that Windows is this trash that I have to deal with this. I have this whole list of things, and because if I want to drag anything and separate it to look at it easier, like, all right, if I drag this over here, all right, that wasn't too bad that time. But truthfully, Windows, like, you'll I don't want to talk about this now. This is like it's just all the time. I have to mention it because it takes me this long to do something. Look, as soon as I moved it over here, I found what I needed immediately because I made the list the proper size. So I mean, this is just ridiculous that Windows is this trash. So let's discuss Avengers Doomsday. We have a trailer here that was released. We have a trailer here that it was released today on Avengers Doomsday. Boy, I wonder why my bitrate was about to fly around all over the place as I mentioned multiple times that Windows was trash. But regardless, we have Avengers Doomsday, and oh boy, is that trailer incredible. Now, we have absolute sabotage going on here. My likes getting removed, my views getting removed. Some of this we're going to talk a little bit about. We have a few of the companies that do this, that buy your data and stuff like that. Well, during an administration that is disgusting, there are no checks and balances for these companies. And we're going to get into a little bit of that today. But Microsoft is committing fraud and spying on you, as well as pretty much every police department in the United States. Every single one of them, pretty much, because of the current administration. Highly insanely illegal. And no, it doesn't start and end with the flock cameras. It doesn't start and end with the flock cameras. It doesn't. It doesn't start and end with that. It started with Trump. Ends with doing something about people's rights and always making sure that you're not violating people's rights and the Constitution. So anyway, Avengers Doomsday. Avengers Doomsday. This trailer was insane. I cannot believe how good this was. I know. We have to move the bitrate around and be malicious about the bitrate just to make sure that, we put some we remove the views and siphon them to the scammer that's impersonating me. There's an impersonation account on YouTube right now with a scammer that's doing this, that's taking all of my views over to that channel. So as you come in and you share the stream and you watch and stuff like that, that bitrate moving around is a lawsuit that every time that that bitrate shifts around, the statute of limitations on my lawsuit resets and I can sue the shit out of Google and YouTube because they know who this person is. So let me just state that every single time that you see those viewers, those concurrent viewers drop, and somebody in here spamming the confetti button, taking advantage of things that I have that should promote my stream, this is an example of a stalker that YouTube has done nothing about, that I must mention in the beginning of the stream when I'm getting all of this trending and they are trying to steal it and scam it away. So we're going to get into some real nasty stuff here, but I again, right away I wanted to discuss the Avengers Doomsday trailer because holy shit is this cool as hell. And again, that hack into my system, that bitrate shifting around, that takes away from my trending of me talking about it, okay? And the views that I am entitled to because of that. So, as you can see, there's 12 people watching, but YouTube, consistently 12 people watching in and out all the time. Probably way more than that just got taken way out of the stream. There are probably going to be hundreds of people in here. And the stream is only at 18 views. We're counting 18 of those views. 18. We're trying to pretend like the stream is at 18 counted views. No, it is not. This is an active scam happening to me and my data. So, again, all this stuff, this is what fair use is. Stuff like this. Again, these billionaires are a bunch of retards and they attack you because they're trying to flag the systems and stuff like that with a bunch of bullshit. Again, you get copyrights and stuff that don't make any sense and stuff like that, like again, not really dings, just copyright things that don't make any sense. Yeah, this was the beginnings of those companies trying to do that. But that was the most that they could do. And they sat there and they just took advantage of that. So this during the Trump administration where this dumb orange fucking retard has, allowed anybody on the planet to just attack citizens. What do you think's going to happen? So anyway, that's what's going on here. And, again, we're trying to just sit here and have a stream where we talk about a trailer that just dropped and everybody's watching it. So, again, we clearly have a shitload of trending. And, you can see the likes being removed. There's plenty of examples of this where people will try to like the stream and it's just taken off immediately. This is YouTube. Again, this is Google and YouTube continuing to allow this stalker to, again, if you search my name on YouTube, you will find an impersonation YouTube account from a stalker that's reposting my content in a very defamatory way. And YouTube did nothing about this stalker for years. That channel is being controlled by the person that is removing your likes and all that right now. All the stuff that's happening right now, that person is doing that. They're the same person that's trying to steal my all of my money from all the ads I had, and they did actually, because I went into my AdSense account and there's nothing in there. So they stole money from there, and you guys know I've had ads for years. So I just want to let you know right off the bat when you're sitting there and you're trying to like that stream. It's nothing new. We're aware of this. But YouTube didn't do anything and can. They can. So again, the CEO for YouTube and Google should be federally investigated. And the FBI is not doing that. Interesting what CEOs will get away with if they can. I mean, this makes you think you should go around as soon as a Democrat's in office and put them all in jail. So anyway, the new trailer is freaking awesome. Right from the beginning with Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart. Ah, he's back. He's Xavier again. Yes. Yes. Another yes moment. The Russos are back. Bitch. That's right. They're back. And in full swing, in full style. They went, listen, all this stuff they've been doing, we like it. So here you go. And oh my God, Channing Tatum's Gambit. Gambit is my favorite X-Man. And Channing Tatum's Gambit from Deadpool vs. Wolverine is in the trailer. Yes! And he's fighting Shang-Chi. Yes! Yes! Shang-Chi has finally come back. We finally see Shang-Chi. Yes! This was full of all kinds of yes. And then Thor is the center of attention. My tippy top next to the other doctor that conveniently is absent through the trailer. And that's where I think this is going. He's the answer. And we haven't seen him. He's going to be all powerful. But we'll see. We'll see. I think it's going that route because he's going to do his own journey and use the Darkhold in ways he should not. And it's going to give him, all this, but it comes at a price, as you know. The Scarlet Witch found that out. So maybe we'll see something a little full circle with both of those things. But I do notice that a certain doctors is missing while everybody else is present. And Thor actually using his full potential for once instead of beating around the bush. And we see it right in the trailer. We see evidence of that. And then of course, our amazing moment when Cyclops shows up and he has his bursting, we see that right in the trailer. It's like, yes, we know it's yes, good, yes. There's no question about whether they did it right. That's Cyclops. Hell yeah. That dude is ridiculous. And he might end up being another one that he's a lot he's a lot more capable than you probably think. If you've never paid attention to X-Men, Cyclops, he was just so capable. He was the underdog, sort of like he didn't know what to expect from him, and then he would just show up and take care of business. So Cyclops is extremely capable, and last but not least, I mean, we had plenty of other stuff, but trying to go through chronologically. The Steve Rogers moment. And the confirmation that it is, in fact, our Steve Rogers because he grabs Mjolnir right out of Thor's hand. And I feel like it was on purpose. I feel like it was, they were trying to tell us in that moment, Thor was, Thor was like sort of offering it almost to see if it was him. And like that back and forth immediately, the back and forth of the original Steve Rogers and Thor, where they actually did have this. Even in the original, if you remember, even in the original Avengers, it was just like this on-screen camaraderie where Thor and Steve Rogers see eye to eye on things, just because they're very much the incorruptible Avengers of the Avengers, for sure. They're some of the incorruptible ones, or they're just good, So they see eye to eye on a lot of the things they're gonna do, and it makes sense to see that and to have that in there. So I think that's really interesting that's happening. However, however, you have to understand that sorcery is at play here. We are entering the age of sorcery, of doctors and strange things. So you have to realize that when sorcery is at play, anything is possible. So things may not be as they seem. This is what you need to remember when going into this movie, that like if I could give you one little, sort of glimmer of hope, in the darkness going into it, just remember that things aren't always as they seem with magic. That's all. And I think they're gonna do that very well, because the Russos are very good at, they proved that they were very good at putting a story together where they can sort of make you forget about certain stuff because it's so good. You're just that into it, and then they'll bring it back. You're like, oh yeah, that's right. I remember that happened in Endgame. At the end, there was so much shit going on. I actually forgot. I'll be honest, I forgot. And it's not easy to make me forget about that. I pay attention to that stuff, and the moment that Hulk did his snap, Thanos showed up, and just all this shit happened, and there was the most epic fight we've ever seen, pretty much, in Marvel, pretty much. That last one where with Cap getting Mjolnir and stuff, like this was so epic, right? So they made you forget that there was a snap. And then we had that moment, and it was awesome because you totally forgot. That was cool. So, I think they can do it. They have they have what it takes. So as far as like the trailer's concerned, I think it's interesting. It's a winter release. You know what's interesting about winter releases? So sometimes winter releases, especially around Christmas time, they do have a they can pull in numbers and stuff because of people wanting to do stuff and things like that around that time. And this is definitely a Christmas release. This is December 18th. So that's right before Christmas. And what's also true about Christmas releases, now this could be different now, I'm not sure. I just know in terms of the box office and marketing and stuff, it's we aren't oblivious to the fact that end of the year releases are not typically the box office releases. They're typically the ones they're releasing at that point in time, because they don't want to compete with something coming out in the summer. However, I feel like this is like them knowing this is huge and trying to be humble about this. I'll be honest. I think they're movie buffs, movie fans, huge movie fans, and they know how everybody's going to watch this anyway. So I think that they're probably trying not to just bomb the market for any other movie that comes out, and I think that's what they're doing. I think that's what they're doing. Um, that's really cool. Um, and it actually reminds me of something similar that Ozzy did. You know, that's actually a lot of the reason they did Ozfest was because originally they wanted a second stage. Now, obviously, there was some stuff with Lollapalooza and Ozzy, but ignoring that stuff, okay. The point was they wanted to do it their own way and their own thing, and they wanted to give a whole second stage to get people to see all these bands that were actually good that would never get signed or nobody would ever normally hear about, but they're great. And you know, I distinctly, even when I went to Ozfest, remembering really really awesome bands at the time on the second stage, thinking they were awesome at the time too, and also agreeing that they should be bigger. So I think it's sort of similar where they kind of know they're, like, well, let's keep that separate, where it's like a main stage and a second stage. Well, they're going to put all the main acts on the main stage later. Everybody's going to hang out all day. They're going to watch the second stage first and stuff, you know? And so, sort of like having the other guys in the summer, and then later on in the year, we'll get to this. We you guys are waiting for it. We'll get to it. Um, I I think I feel like that's the case because that's the only rationale that I can give on this, that makes sense for that. Because this is definitely a summer movie, but, you know what I mean? I think they're just doing it that way because of that. That's what I personally would think, but, um, that's my own that is my own prerogative. Um, so, I mean, why am I talking about this? Why am I the guy to talk about this? Again, as you guys know, I've been a huge fan of the movies over the years. I definitely I definitely have a liking of both DC and Marvel. I mean, I like Dark Horse as well. But I have a genuine like for creating characters that are otherworldly and then giving them a purpose in the real world and then telling that story. I think it's really interesting, and seeing how they fit and play into things, and how Marvel was able to bring a lot of this to life on screen, where it's not like they didn't do it right before, but Marvel did it in such a way that just felt more everyday, and um every day, and I'll say also just really intelligent, smart, like movie work in general, like just putting the whole production together in general, where it's not like it's still a movie, you know, and you know that, but it's it still pulls you in, and it's still so interesting. You can't wait to follow the character and see how things happen, and you just it's about telling it's about getting the characters right and casting them right, and then allowing and then in turn all then allowing, you know, directors and writers and stuff to properly do what they want to do with that. You know, you get what I'm saying. Like, obviously we've had examples. I'm not going to necessarily talk about examples of incorrect things or bad things, you know, and stuff like that. We know what those are. But people can really get caught up in trying to do things in a movie where it's like, let's make this all about a toy, and we're trying to sell this toy, so we have this big scene with this big thing in it, and it's like, come on, man, like, can we just make this about the movie? And you know, like, you can still do that, but just make sure it's still about the movie. You know, you can't build the scene around the marketing, the toy and stuff like that, because then when you do that, there's no purpose to the scene, and it pulls away from what you're trying to do. And so, like, I just think a lot of times things get shifted in these really, really big franchises with these movies like this, because that has such a huge pull with the money, you know, like after the fact, where that is a big part of it. At least the marketing anyway, you know. And I understand that. You know, obviously that needs to happen. That's what you want. You know, that's why you a lot of times why investors and producers would jump on it and stuff like that in the first place. So I understand that. But if you don't essentially have something, I will tell you, as a fan, always a fan, you know, coming from this stuff, even when I was younger and things like that, and watching stuff like this, you if you don't have an interesting movie initially, I won't give a shit about the toy. I won't want it. Nobody else wants it because the movie was garbage. Do you understand? If you don't actually like, the reason why Ninja Turtles, we all wanted the ninja to dress up like Ninja Turtles, is because the movie was actually good. You know, I happen to think Michael Bay's movie was good too. I watched that. I actually liked that. It was really good. Really good. Um, so like we have examples of things like getting it right and telling characters and stories like that, and for sure they got it right on that one. Oh, absolutely. And even down to the casting, um, man, that was great. So I think it's really, really cool and really interesting that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be Doctor Doom. I think that is really, really freaking cool. And that was his voice, right, in the trailer. Already, he sounds good. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. And there was very little of Doctor Doom himself, except right there with Thor. So they're definitely keeping that under wraps. I just, man, you know, it's the anticipation, you know. They did a good job, I think, with this trailer, and not giving too much, but there's still plenty of stuff there for you to be like, "Oh, this character's in it. This character's in it. This character's in it." And see what their place is a little bit. Um Really cool. You know, like Shang-Chi's fighting with Gambit. That actually sort of makes sense. You have to, cuz like the point is, you have to realize, like, when you tell this story, all these different characters culminating and coming together with a different purpose, they wouldn't necessarily immediately agree on everything, and they probably would quarrel quite a bit. So that's actually like far more realistic storytelling than, you know, just the immediate. You get what I'm saying? Like the movie, like the movie already always sort of starting with all these people working together and stuff like that. Um, so definitely a character development and whatnot. I personally, as you guys know, I've talked about this before. I liked Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I really did. I thought that it was a great movie, and so like just sort of kind of coming off that a little bit. Um, obviously we don't know. There was nothing about Spider-Man in this. Yeah, there's nothing. We have no idea where he is in all this. So that's interesting. Um, I am mostly caught up with all this stuff, so I can talk about it. We saw Loki a little bit, but we didn't see anything. We just got confirmation he is in it. We literally just saw like the side of his face. He was like sort of like when you're like looking out a window or something like that. He was like just standing there. So Loki's in it. That is confirmed. The same Loki we know and love. Um, so he's in it. Um, and remember they expertly recreated him. So you saw the sort of the a bit of the end of him, and I believe it was actually Infinity War, right? When Thanos first showed up. And yeah. And so basically when they went back and did Endgame to reverse what Infinity War did, because in Infinity War, again, we're talking spoilers here. In Infinity War, Thanos won. We already sort of had a bad guy win. He accomplished what he wanted to do. The end of the movie was very much a letdown to, if you were for the good guys and stuff like that, and that's what it was supposed to be. It's supposed to be that dark cliffhanger, and then Endgame, and so Endgame was the aftermath of that, and then getting the stones back, trying to reverse what actually happened. The snap of half the universe just gone. Um, and so basically what they did was, taking that Loki from that time period of, going back to the first Avengers movie, where it was still the same Loki. Like he was still very much gonna be that same person. It just he hadn't lived that path yet and hadn't lived those experiences yet and stuff like that. I think Thor: The Dark World, all that stuff hadn't happened yet. All that stuff. Where he sort of had a little bit of a reconciliation with his brother, and certainly not Thor Ragnarok. Obviously, that was the real big reconciliation and stuff. Them working through that, and sort of just being each other's ride or die, sort of basically. So that was sort of what the Dark World showed us, but Ragnarok confirmed that is very much relationship. And Loki proved that in Infinity War. So don't be surprised if that comes back. Okay? Do not be surprised if he very much makes the sacrifice play to save his brother. Do not be surprised. And then don't be surprised if Thor doesn't let him this time. I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be. But anyway, I just think there's a lot you can extrapolate from it and say, hey, maybe this, maybe that. Sounds cool, right? I don't know, we'll see. But I like again that, you know, they took that Loki and recreated him, and he's, you know, again, remember in the Loki show, they showed him all the memories, everything that he was going to do, and that this was his future, definitively. They showed him his mom, you know, all the stuff with that, all the stuff, you know, everything, every single little thing that happened. And, you know, obviously he learned who he was going to be and stuff like that. And he learned that Thor was very much his friend and not his enemy and stuff. You know, like it was very much just Loki didn't, he was very misled by Odin. Odin was not always the the you know, the good guy necessarily. He had a dark past for sure. But he very much cared for Thor. He was that guy that he didn't give people chances. So like he was sort of the dark ruler of the, you get what I'm saying? And that's we saw that in the first Thor movie where he even took Thor's abilities and cast him out, and the spell on Mjolnir and stuff. So that's just what Odin is. And he would take abilities from people because he had the ability to do that. So the point is he would rule that way. He would say you don't deserve the right to have this, yada yada yada. And it was that sort of thing. I think it would be interesting if Odin came back into play in this. But I don't think he will. I don't think that's going to be the case. But I do think you know, the point I'm trying to make is just that the story that they tell here in the movies lines up with awesomely, I think, with the comics and stuff like that and lore. But I think that you have to accept also that they might do it differently, because otherwise, what's the point? Like, you don't want to watch this just to see the same thing that you read in the comics, but you still want them to be those characters, because if they're not, then why are you watching it? You watch it because you want to see a new story told similarly, the same characters maybe, but you don't want to see the same exactly cookie cutter, the same thing you read in the comic, because you know how that works out. So I think it's really cool when they actually do it differently. Like, I actually thought it was cool that Thor had the ability to throw his Stormbreaker and resist all the powers of the stones. I thought that was actually really cool. And there's actually a reason for that. So I think it's really cool that you can like look at that and dissect that and explain that a little bit. Just remember that Stormbreaker is, you know, that's the thing. He had just gotten a huge level up, basically. You know, even in Thor Ragnarok, you know, but Infinity War, just insane, you know, even more so. And then so you got the Stormbreaker, armor and Stormbreaker itself, and now he loves that thing, obviously. And even the handle is Groot's own arm. So that actually kind of adds to it a little bit. And so you have to realize when this is forged literally, as he always said, in the heart of a dying star. Like the whole point is that, yeah, like that's the point. It is forged with the ability to be able to withstand basically the force of that, which is, like a supernova or something like that. So that's cool. There's explanations for that. I mean, I'm sure it goes beyond that, but that's my basic explanation. um and then, him actually having the Stormbreaker armor, I think, gives him um more abilities with the actual axe itself. I believe. Right. Because Mjolnir responds to him, but Stormbreaker does because of the armor, correct? I'm not sure, actually. It could be just because he's Thor too. Thor hasn't realized quite how his abilities work yet. I think it's probably because he's Thor. I have to actually look it up and remind myself, because we've had so much of this Thor that doesn't know how his abilities work. And so if he would understand that he is Odin times 100, he would probably be able to be Doctor Doom, but he doesn't. He didn't get it. So I think that's I think that's the issue. Thor not understanding the absurdity of his own. You know what I'm saying? We've seen that all along. That's his story, where he doesn't understand it. He doesn't have Odin to guide him. Odin being like the only one that would. So he doesn't know how it works at all. He's like splitting it up and stuff like that. Remember, he can do that. Oh, there's my concurrent counter. They're breaking that. They're trying to break that, so I can't refresh it. He's like splitting up his powers and stuff like that. I mean, we literally saw this dude survive Thanos blowing up his ship, and then he was drifting in space. just drifting out there, and they picked him up and he survived it. I mean, I mean, look, the point is, if Thor had the ability to essentially be unalived, I think he already would have been. I think we're gonna see the example of what they're gonna do with Thor. I hope, because if it's what I think it is, it's gonna be really cool. But I think Thor has a potential they haven't revealed yet, and I hope they do that soon. I don't know. I certainly hope it's not the end of his story. It's just that he keeps getting these level ups and stuff like that. And then like he has this ridiculous ability to just, he's sort of invincible, you know? So obviously there's a reason for that, and I mean, even in Infinity War, when the way they were able to forge Stormbreaker is that the things were like sealed shut because they hadn't been used or whatever. Or no, what was it? Oh no, that's right. Thanos destroyed it. That's right. So they couldn't be used. So Thor actually had to get up there and physically hold the door open so that this star would literally beam all of its radiation like that straight, and it just went right into him. He had to just, so he got the same treatment as these things that were forged. So you have to understand the fact that Thor actually survived and resisted what the Stormbreaker absorbed for an energy source. Thor is literally the energy source, and he doesn't understand it. Because otherwise, how did he do that? He would have just been disintegrated. Even like Cap and stuff like that, like, nah, nope, you're not literally, he is listed as a god. That is what he is. He doesn't get that. He doesn't understand what that means. Loki, I think, isn't Loki is he a demigod? I don't think I'm not sure. Because he's technically an ice giant, right? Thor is actually a god. So, like, I just, it is very difficult to take him out. Damn near impossible. Again, like, you can stop the guy, like, we've seen that, but that, again, because he doesn't understand, he's never had anybody to show him how to use it. So, it would be cool. It would be cool to see that. Obviously, we're hoping to get that. I think that's what people wanted to see in Thor: Love and Thunder. I think, and I think that's kind of what I wanted to see a little bit too. Like, I didn't hate the movie or anything. I didn't hate it. But I definitely wanted more of Gore, and I was irritated that they cut a lot of his scenes. So that's all I felt. Like, I'm a Christian Bale fan, and I was really happy he was casted. And I liked what they did. With his, I liked what they did with his character. Having a crusade and stuff like that. But yeah, I wanted definitely more Thor discovering himself. And he sort of didn't do that. Yeah, like, there was this whole thing with Jane. And that was cool. Female Thor was cool. I thought it was cool. But I don't know. I thought it could have been a little bit more Norse, Asgardian, I guess. Like, he's Thor. So, like, it wasn't the worst comic book movie I've ever seen, and it wasn't, I don't know, I was pretty entertained by it. I liked it a lot, but I definitely wanted more gore scenes. And the movie just portrayed Thor as being, like, consistently better than Gore and stuff like that. And so part of the issue is where they decided to tell that story. Like, they waited to this point to tell the story with Gore. Thor he does have more ability than Gore at that point. And so it would kind of, I think they were just hard pressed to the fact that they didn't know how to do that. So you should have, like, in my opinion, obviously, just like you normally do, you create a situation where, Thor, is otherwise disposed, or something like that, and can't, you create a situation where he's separated from Jane and has to rescue her or something like that, and it puts him at risk, or, like you just, you don't put them both together and then he just breaks apart the moon thing, though. They're, like, I mean, that's all he's gonna do. Like, I thought that it was correct the way they did it. I just thought, what did you expect when they decided to wait to this long to tell the story? So I just think it was a timing and a decision factor on what they did with it, and if they were gonna tell that at that point in time, yeah, they had to do it in a way that you sort of leveled up Gore a little bit, and it was a different version of Gore from the comics where he was leveled up as well, and show that a little bit. Show him keeping an eye on Thor and looking at him and you know, analyzing that he's not the normal sort of god. You know, this guy that this guy's gonna take a bit more. You know, like the Gore's not stupid. He was never stupid. Like he's, you know, like that's the point. Yeah, like misguided, sure, but stupid, no. And so they was just completely absent of Gore being a competent villain. That's all. Completely devoid of that. The whole thing was centered around, I guess, you know, this thing where Jane had this cancer or something like that, and it was really weird. Like I get that it was Love and Thunder, I get that, but I wanted that. I just wanted there to be more of a tension of like, look, I can't focus on that right now. I'm dealing with Gore. You know, I'm trying to, you know, figure out my how my abilities work and stuff like that. You know, I can do this ridiculous bolt of lightning, but I can't really do anything else that I can do in the comics, because in the comics, you know, I can sit here and literally just annihilate moons if I want to, and you command the Bifrost, and I, you know, like just like you can do all this crap, and you know, in the movies, he's very very basic compared to his potential. So um I just wanted to see a bit more of that, and then that was the tension. But they threw Gore in there just to do Gore. Shit, you don't have to do Gore. Have Chris Hemsworth shave and do a Thor movie that takes place between Thor and Thor Love and Thunder, or Thor and the Thor the Dark World. Do that. Do it like right after the first Thor movie, but before the Dark World. Cause his resolve just changes. Like he's just a different person. He would have struggled a lot more with Gore. You get what I'm saying? Like he faced Thanos. This guy faced Thanos head on and beat him. Let's be honest, he beat Thanos. He did. He was just too soft on a guy like Thanos. So the point is, you can't throw Gore in after that. Thanos beats Gore like he's like I don't even know how to explain that. Like nothing, man. Like literally, he's nothing compared to Thanos. Thanos can beat Hulk in a sparring match, basically. Like just not no, you know. Because you know, I'm talking stones. I'm talking Thanos usually has like one or two stones, and typically throughout the story he did. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking that version of Thanos. I'm not talking about base Thanos. I'm just talking like he normally would have gauntlet stones. That's his story. Okay, so when Thor faced that, like, I mean, let's be real. Okay, you can't. So yeah, like taking these characters to anywhere after that where there isn't just a character development of them. Like, yeah, there's gonna be an antagonist for sure. Um, protagonist. There's gonna be a bad guy for sure, but like you have to realize that regardless of that, you can't if you put a specific bad guy in there that people like, you have to do justice to that. You can't just use that bad guy out of place. Does that make sense? Like there could have been others to use. There could have been. But like it was just so out of place, and like I said, if you would have used Gore, all you would have had to do was have Chris Hemsworth shave, take him back to he's wearing the old armor again, just Mjolnir. This is a prequel movie way back between the original Thor and Thor the Dark World, and you do a story in between there. And Loki's there too in his original form and stuff like that. But the point is that makes sense. You do that, and then Loki is there to help Thor deal with Gore. Because that's who he would lean on during that time. And it makes sense. And then you can have his crew come in too. Remember how he had that whole crew of people and such good actors. They were such good actors, and they got rid of them all. They got taken out pretty quickly because they can't really measure up to some of the bad guys that came in play. So giving them more of a space too. Like just all these different things you could have done. You could have brought Beta Ray Bill in. That would have been perfect. You go back and you can bring Beta Ray Bill in too. That would have been the perfect time period for that. But we were already well past that in Thor Ragnarok, and we were talking about, oh, maybe Beta Ray Bill, but we already passed that shit. We can't. And then we were talking about it in Infinity War too. It's like, really? And then they cut it because they realized, yeah, this shit don't make any sense. So Beta Ray Bill, you could then fit him into that too. There's so many other things that you can do with that, and it's a way better. Oh yeah. It might actually be one of the better Thor movies, where it's up there with Thor Ragnarok. And it's cool because you're going back now and you're telling that prequel with an actor that's the same actor we know and love and we've seen play it. But Chris Hemsworth, trust me, he still looks the same. You just don't think that because he hasn't shaved. That guy doesn't age. Trust me, he still looks the same. He's bigger. He's bigger, but no, he still looks the same. He just has to shave. He'd fit the part very well. He would still be able to do it. And Loki too. Yeah, he hasn't aged that much. Tom Hiddleston hasn't aged that much. He still looks good in the part. He would easily pull that off. Easily. So I think that's a good idea, but obviously what the hell do I know, What the hell do I know? So let's talk a little bit. I wanted to talk about Doomsday. We can do this a little bit if you'd like, but we're gonna get on to some other stuff. I asked, by the way, it's asked. Asked. It is not axe. All right? Can none of you speak properly? You weren't told you're mispronouncing things, and then yeah, it's asked. 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 So ask, Ed. Ask Ed. Is that easier? Use Old English then. Ask Ed. There you go. Ask Ed. There you go. Is this easier? You could say it like that. They're gonna look at you funny. It's technically correct. Yeah, there you go. You sound like you're from biblical times. Thou hast this asked of thy loins. I don't fucking know. I'm trying to think of as many words as I know that are like Old English. So anyway, I asked the I asked the AI, why is Doctor Doom called Doctor Doom in Marvel Comics? Can you elaborate?
Use Marvel Navalon. He is called Dr. Doom for a wonderfully blunt reason. His real name is Victor Von Doom, and Doctor reflects his identity as an elite scientist and scholar. Unlike many supervillain names, Doom is not merely an ominous alias he invented. It is his family surname. Marvel formally identifies him as Dr. Victor Von Doom. There are, however, a few layers to the name. Why Doctor? Victor is portrayed as a polymath whose scientific ability rivals Reed Richards. He has mastered robotics, physics, dimensional technology, time travel, weapons engineering, and numerous other disciplines. He also becomes one of Marvel's most accomplished sorcerers, combining advanced machinery with magic in a way few characters can match. Different stories vary somewhat on the exact status of his academic credentials. His university career ended disastrously after an experiment exploded, and he did not follow an ordinary path to a conventional doctorate. Nevertheless, he adopts and insists upon the title Doctor.
Streams at only 46
it expresses both his
views.
genuine intellectual stature and his enormous ego. For Doom, the title is not modest professional identification. It is part of his claim that he stands among civilization's supreme minds. Why Doom? Von Doom is simply the surname Marvel's creators gave him. His full name was designed to sound aristocratic, European, theatrical, and immediately threatening. The Von reinforces his old-world quasi-feudal image, while Doom tells the reader almost instantly what kind of presence he represents. He first appeared in Fantastic Four #5 in 1962, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. From his introduction, the name,
and he was in the first
armor,
Fantastic Four movie, too.
Castle, and Imperious Manor were all parts of the same concept. A villain who seemed simultaneously like a futuristic scientist, an armored knight, and an absolute monarch.
And I love the guy.
The name fits his psychology. Doom almost never treats Dr. Doom as a colourful code name in the manner of Spider-Man or the Green Goblin. To him, it is his proper name and title. He frequently refers to himself simply as Doom, often in the third person. Open quote, Doom does not beg. Doom does not fail. Doom answers to no one. Close quote. That habit illustrates his defining quality. Victor has transformed his surname into an institution. Doom means the man, the monarch, the state of Latveria, and the almost mythological persona he has built around himself. He suppresses the vulnerable identity of Victor, the orphan, the scarred student, and the grieving son, and replaces it with the invincible figure of Doom. It also contains an irony. Victor believes himself to be the world's potential savior. In his own view, he is not fundamentally a destroyer. He is the one person intelligent and strong enough to impose peace and order. He often regards his conquests as benevolent necessities. That makes Doom doubly meaningful. To his enemies, he brings literal doom, conquest, imprisonment, and catastrophe. To Victor, Doom represents destiny, authority, and the supposedly inevitable triumph of his will. His name therefore captures the character's central contradiction. He possesses qualities that could make him a great hero: genius, courage, discipline, and concern for his country. But pride, resentment, and an obsession with superiority repeatedly turn those qualities toward tyranny. So Dr. Doom is at once his real surname, an intellectual title, a royal brand, and a statement of character. It sounds almost comically obvious, but Marvel has spent decades making that obvious name feel imposing rather than silly.
Yeah. Dr. Doom is awesome. Part of the reason, like, these stories are cool is when you do a villain that's believable in the sense that they would actually trick, you know, like fool or you know, like whatever it is they're doing, you know, to the you know, the good guy of the series and whatnot. um you know, the idea is that whatever it is about that, and by the way, by the time I refreshed, that 5 was at 4 again. um you know, whatever it is about that again fools or you know, is villainous toward the main character, you know, the set of main characters, you know, that's more believable, you know, and whatnot than just this cheesy, you know, normal sort of concept we've all heard a million times, you know, or something like that, you know. Just something that's not cheesy, something that's not, you know, just, you know, this guy is just has yeah, the same ability as the main character, but you know, it's more so. Yep, they just have more of it, you know, or something, something like that, you know. Um, so it's cool, you know, when it's more of a believable story in the sense that you have all these working parts that create that character, instead of like just that character just automatically has those abilities and stuff like that. So again, I just watched for like the millionth time this go up to 5, and by the time I refreshed it, it was down at a lower number. I watched the concurrence go up to 5, and by the time I refreshed it, now it's at 3. I watched a fourth like go down to 3 just now, and we've seen plenty of likes be removed right at the start of the stream. The bit rate was completely malicious at the start of the stream, and I will be calling my lawyer after the stream to, you know, make sure that my lawyer is well aware that the bitrate was malicious during the stream. I want to remind you guys that what's happening is your local police departments are harassing your everyday lives. They're following you around on cameras that are everywhere in the United States. The current administration that's in office in our government is taking oligarchy and autocracy control over the United States, where it's full military police, where it's the thing that he warned you about with Biden that freaked you out about. He's actually doing that. And he's letting police just violate your rights by having cameras all over the fucking country. Okay. And we talked about this literally on our last stream, which is why they're having trouble even removing the views. So if you notice, they locked the view count at 111. 111. Yeah. So again, it was gaining all these views. They kept removing them. So they just locked it so that would stop. So again, it's just a system called Flock where they're just putting cameras everywhere and they're making shitloads of money off of leasing these cameras to police and stuff where they can no. And not only that, if you're driving onto somebody's property again, and they would kick you off the property for like filming in their store and stuff like that, yet they use these cameras and violate your rights to allow police to spy on you. This is lawsuits out the ass. I'm gonna sue the fucking shit out of Walmart. And a lot of this has to do with Walmart spying on Lowe's to see what people are buying and stuff like that, so they can sell those things and get more sales than Lowe's. A lot of it has to do with that. And I'm going to sue the fuck out of Walmart. But police are using it to manipulate your lives. Just like when I'm down there at Wendy's getting a burger, sitting there minding my own business, and there's a random cop parked in a closed business across the street with his lights off, and he's staring at me. He has no business being there. It's a closed business, and he's now sitting on their property after hours, staring at me across the fucking... Because about a year ago, all these cops randomly found a reason to arrest my dad and throw him in jail for nothing. No evidence. All they did was lie on this document, lie on this, just same way you see ICE doing it. And this scammer is sitting here, coming back behind it, stealing all of the shit that he can from that individual that was wrongfully put away, and then trolling the situation, making everyone aware, so that way you just hear about the thing they lied about, that's supposedly the thing that happened, but didn't actually happen. It was put to rest, which is, again, why it was something that happened, that was reported like a fucking like decade or, ago. And it was put to rest. There's never any proof. And not only that, the people that said this happened took it back, took their story back, and said it didn't happen. And then this judge literally threatened to have these people arrested if they changed their story. That is incredibly illegal. So the whole point is a judge, a DA, and some cops all got together. They all have a little network here in Pennsylvania. And they're sitting here spying on people with flock cameras, following them around, so they can sit here and make money off of them. Because here I am sitting on stream. They can see everything in the room. They can see the house. They can see... Yeah, all this started when they found out that I lived where I live and that we have property. That's when it all started. So, this guy is trying to steal something. Gee, I wonder what he's trying to steal. Gee, I wonder what scam they're trying to run. Gee, I wonder. Just like cloning. This person's doing a lot of this is about cloning. They want to clone your car. They want to clone your phone. That's how a lot of it's done. They have a clone of my YouTube channel, which is, again, the one that you can sit there and see simply typing my name into YouTube. And YouTube and Google, they don't do anything about this person that had my street address and real name typed into the title of one of their videos for 7 months. 7 months, my street address was doxed by this person in the title of a video, just typed there. maliciously, just typed as the title of a video. That's how disgusting this is. You know, we're conveniently around these things happening. This malicious attacker shows up conveniently around that detective that came to my house to ask incriminating questions while I wasn't detained, read Miranda rights, and not only that, had no idea what the hell was going on. Where this guy could easily say, well, you said this, so I'm going to subpoena you in court, yada, yada, yada. That's incriminating. And you didn't come there and tell me anything it's about? You just started asking me questions? Yeah. Again, the asshole asked me if I got his phone call because apparently he left a voicemail. Okay. Again, that's not explaining anything. He shows up and just starts asking questions. And then after that, after he was visibly pissed off because, again, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, and he's trying to, like, very obviously spin this like cops do. And I'm just like, look, just basically just get the fuck out of here. Basically, I was like, just get the fuck out of here. And so the point is he was visibly pissed off and actually even said, we could have done this over the phone. And very visibly turned the other way, pissed off and disgruntled and walked away. So right after this happened, this malicious attacker showed up and has been doing all of the things that they're doing. Oh, gee, I wonder if it's that guy. You know, masquerading on Steam as my dad, pretending he's a Russian. It says Russian Federation as a Steam account. You know that. And this guy's masquerading as a Fed. He's not FBI. He's masquerading. This criminal, this terrorist, is in our government. He's doing this. He's showing up at people's houses, trying to trick them, trying to get them to say shit, lying to cops, manipulating situations. He doesn't work for the FBI. No, he just clones people's cars. He's a different FBI agent every day. When I asked this person, this detective, that didn't give me really any credentials at all, flashed his badge for absolutely no point in time. I asked him about, I said I tried to call you. I said, I got this call, but I've been having issues, you know, and stuff like that. I tried to call you. And I even asked the police department if you worked there. And they said, there's no one here by that name. Interesting. So when you're calling me endlessly and then I call the police department back where you called from and they don't know who the fuck you are. And I say, could you please look for this person? And they still have there's no record of you, no name working there. They have no clue who you are. You're a scammer. And I do not have to tell that person a goddamn fucking thing. And not only that, the point is, I said something about this to that bald motherfucker that came here in a black Ford, unmarked. Yeah, like a Fusion, I think it was, unmarked, and you know, I presented this. I said, I tried to call you back and I got the Lancaster State Police, and I even asked that. The State Police back in Lancaster, and they confirmed that's where. And he goes, I swear to God, he goes, yeah, I guess it would ring back there, wouldn't it? Dude, you either work there and called from there or not. When I call you back from a number you called me from, it doesn't ring back. What? It would ring back there? So you called me from a number that if I called it back, it would divert it back to the Lancaster State Police, is what you're telling me. Yes. Yes. That's not a cop trying to get a hold of somebody that wants to be available. That's a scammer trying to make it very difficult to get in contact with them. That's what that is. Just like him showing up here at 7:30 in the fucking morning. Who the hell's awake at 7:30 in the morning? I had just gotten out of the shower, by the way. I'm surprised I was even awake. Why are all these people coming in here? Why is there trending all of a sudden when I'm talking about a sleep schedule? Oh, that's fascinating. Oh, wow. Huh. Well, let's talk about people getting swatted and stuff. And we know it's illegal. It's incredibly illegal. Huh. I wonder why we'd be trying to... Huh. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I wonder, Huh. I guess it's a good thing I called the state police to let them be aware that I'm being stalked and harassed, isn't it? I guess it's a good thing the state police are aware I am being stalked. I mean, you can see it. This is ridiculous. I'm just trying to be about myself, man. I am literally just trying to live my fucking life. This is shit that they did to Ozzy. He had problems with this. Now, I mean, the modern day, the guy, you know, he's not, he's, everybody accepts him now and did, but like way back, sure, because, oh, you know, that's a drug addict. So, you know, we got to make sure he's, you know, not, you know, just because he did some drugs or, you know, he drinks wine or something. Therefore, you know what I mean? It's like, I wonder what it is that they're trying to say about me, you know, or something like that, you know, where it's like there's nothing. I don't I don't I don't speed around all over the place. There's just blatantly obvious. I don't I don't drive around and text and drive. I don't I don't you know what I mean? I don't sit here and blatantly shoot up before I stream. You know, I'm not like, hey guys. You know, like Joe Rogan, like every like fucking thumbnail Joe Rogan like this. It's like, what is that guy on? Like, Jesus Christ, that ain't marijuana. Marijuana doesn't do that. You know, if he was on marijuana, he'd be like, what's up? Hey. It's not this. Marijuana's not this. It's this. Yeah, get your drugs right at least, okay? So the point is, I wonder, I wonder, like, what they're trying to, you know what I mean? Because this is what they do. Cops that use the system to, again, they're not cops, they're just criminals. Where they use that to conduct crime and just get away with ruining people's lives. They exist. They're out there. You know, some of the best detective work and policing that was done was actually by detectives that were inspired after Obama's run in office. You know, around 2017 and 18, when Trump comes in office and he's looking real good just because Obama had just served 2 terms fixing everything. And that's some of the best detective work and policing was starting right around 2016 as Trump was coming in. And so it's motivation as by the concept of law and order, where he uses these concepts and it's motivating to you, but he's just using that. He didn't do a good job. He didn't care about law and order. This motherfucker's the biggest criminal of anybody. Blatantly, literally just stealing tax dollars, trillions of dollars all the fucking time. You know, like literally going over the court's heads. The court tells him he can't do this. He says, nah. Something that would get somebody arrested right out of coming out of office. So why do you think he's trying to rig the election? Where you can't arrest a sitting president for good national security reasons by taking advantage of the fact that he knows that he has that on record now, especially on Colbert's interview on The Late Show. He has that on record. Or that's in an interview, and that guy's admitting, yeah, for good reasons, you don't arrest a sitting president for national security reasons. But him taking advantage of that, trying to cause wars, trying to escalate things, spend endless money. Oh, I can't draw your attention enough to the stalker spamming the fucking confetti button the moment that I start down the road of how disgusting and filthy this president really is. I can't draw your attention enough to that. I really can't. You need to recognize the pattern of that ridiculousness, of how stupid that is. You know, like, again, that person knows I'm correct. Has nothing to say, can't say anything intelligent, can't have a channel and do all this stuff. So again, scam, lie, confetti. Right when I say it, they are so emotionally triggered by this confetti, you know, just that's the behavior. Where again, these people that want to be experts with political science and stuff, they're just fucking stupid with it. It's a science. It's very complicated. And you think, no. It's okay to admit you were wrong about Trump and you fucked shit up. Okay? You weren't running the country. You just cast a vote. It's not really on your shoulders, but you have to admit that vote was a fuck up. Otherwise, you're endlessly gonna sit here and claim, you know, that he's the best. So AI is being manipulated, and it's China. And I want to remind you that we have possibly Russian, but definitely Chinese spies in our CIA. And our CIA has become anti-American. There are spies planted in our CIA elsewhere in the world. And now because Trump is so easy to manipulate, now everywhere around the world is manipulating the US's Homeland CIA. So they are spying on us from all those different CIA places in other countries. That is why Trump is trying to distract you with a war in Iran. And for the love of God, it is Iran. It's not Iran. It's not, for the love of goddamn anything. It's Iran. 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 It's not, there's no E sound. That letter could never possibly make an E sound next to an R with no other letter there. It is Iran. Shut the fuck up if you don't know how to say it right. Stop it. What you are doing is incredibly racist and they can't fucking stand it. Stop it. I'm dead serious. Stop. No, you have to hear this. You need to hear it. You don't understand what you're doing. And do you know why it's racist? I know, it sounds woke as shit. I know, cringe woke as fuck. I know. You couldn't possibly do enough fucking streams where you're shitting in the bathroom and making money off of it, but this is woke and immature. Yeah, go take a shit somewhere, okay? Shut the fuck up. All right? Here's what you're doing. Okay? You have heard somebody from Iran say it with their accent. And you don't understand the phonetics of the accent. So you're trying to say it like them. And you're just so fucking racist. Iran. I'm gonna make this as plain as I possibly can for you. Okay, we're gonna make this as plain as we possibly can for you. Okay, we'll take my name here. We'll take mine here. Okay. Okay, take a look at that. IRAN. Iran. I said even that's more correct than Iran. Okay. In no fucking way, shape, or form are you ever supposed to pronounce this Iran. You say that because you're racist as fuck and don't understand the phonetics of their fucking accent. They say shit like that. Their accent makes it sound like they're saying Iran, but they're saying it really fast. It's Iran. It just sounds fast. They're used to saying it. It's not Iran. For the love of all that is fucking holy, it's not Iran. Iran, sorry. It is Iran. Or Iran. I'll accept Iran because you sound like a dumb American dumb fuck. Okay, so I'll accept that because we all know how the rest of the world accepts that our education level is fucking nothing. It was fucking nothing under Obama, too. Like, he barely was able to fix what he was able to fix. Like, let's be honest, right? Okay? He, probably why he's doing the presidential, he wants to, because he felt a certain way about that. Yeah, I would too. Okay, so again, when the dumbass comes in and he's the most uneducated, stupid person for the job, what do you think he's gonna do when everybody's calling him out, everybody that's been paying attention knows more than this retard does. What do you think he's going to do? Misinformation? Lie? So, let's talk a little bit about how Microsoft is using the sabotage method because Trump doesn't care and he thinks it's funny when people have shit that breaks. He thinks this is funny. So since Trump thinks it's funny and that makes him happy, that's why these guys are actually doing it. So Microsoft is actually sabotaging their own operating system. They have history of doing this. And it's actually because they were investigated by the US government, and so now there's a whole bunch of data sitting on like top secret files and stuff, and a lot of that got leaked because the FBI right now is incredibly incapable and incompetent under Trump. And so what they're doing is they're looking into everything the Biden administration looked into. And so part of the problem is Kash Patel is such a retard. Here's what this moron would do, right? Because this guy is stupid as fuck. Here's what he's going to do. He's going to be like, that's top secret, my ass. Let's get a picture right here. He's going to get his phone out. He's going to be sitting here. He's going to be like, all right. Okay. There we go. And he's going to take a picture. And he's going to be like, all right, let me send this to Hegseth. It's safe to send it to him, right? It's Hegseth. Yeah, we'll just send it. It's safe. So he's texting these people, but he's a fucking retard. And he's taking a picture of a top secret file and it's just on his phone. So why do you think they're breaching, making it wireless, taking all the hardware? Again, they put us on a wireless connection permanently, took away the hardwired ocean connections, took them off entirely. That's why your internet sucks. That's why it's getting breached constantly. Because there's no off. That's why. When you have a hardwired, the hardwired is more stable. And there's an on-off. Wireless, there's not. And you have no confirmation that when you're turning it off, software is not leaving it on, and somebody can't scam that to do that. So there's no real actual constant refresh. When you have both, you can turn off the hardwired and temporarily turn on the wireless, so that way you can refresh and update the hardwired system from our secure system, put it back on that, and now shut down the wireless to update that too. But now, and I shouldn't have to explain this. I shouldn't have to fucking explain. It's so goddamn basic, it's not even funny. That is so fucking basic. So ever since I explained this, that the hack that they were using where you would remember my Series X? Elden Ring wouldn't run. Then it was the Blu-ray app, then it was this, then it was that. And it was literally trying to say the disc is dirty, and no, it's not. There's nothing wrong with it. It'd actually say that, and it would leave a permanent error message so you can't launch it. Do you remember how that was happening? And I was documenting it for months, flipping out in front of you and stuff like that. Yeah. And remember, I told you a lot of that was, again, poisoning it so that hoping that it would fix it and I would never have to tell you what it really was. So the government didn't do anything. Nobody did fucking shit. And remember, the whole point was all that fixed it, all I had to do was unplug my Ethernet cable from my Series X, and the game would immediately launch. I mean, I wouldn't even have to try to relaunch it. By the way, it was at 12, and I refreshed, and it was at 11. I wouldn't even have to literally sit there and press the relaunch. on a software level, it knew something was wrong in trying to do it. And as soon as I unplugged the Ethernet, bam! So it's not Microsoft. They are being sabotaged. And they're so dumb, they will never admit it. They will never. They are so stupid. Now, what you have to realize is that just like Google and YouTube, there are bad actors in place in these companies. I do believe that AT&T is one that has a network of bad actors. I think AT&T has a network of bad actors that steal your data and spy on your phones. I think that that is literally what Flock is. But they started it for that. And I think that some of these companies that take your data off the internet, again, I don't think it's them. I think they have bad actors working for them, where they're supposed to be taking your data off the internet. None of this should matter, yet clearly it still does. So what the fuck are you paying for? I got news for you. Those companies also connect your data. They remove it, but they're connecting it too for the sake of removing it. So if somebody worked for them and wanted to be malicious, they could. So what you have to realize is that just like the FBI had the most seemingly innocent individual, incompetency is incompetency. We found out about that guy under competent administration. Pretty sure. And he was there for 25 years. He was there for 25 years. And he was seemingly an individual that nobody knew about. Wasn't he a Chinese spy? Was he a Chinese spy? He wasn't Chinese. Like, this Jeff, they're not going to be Chinese. Are you this dense? Are you this dumb? I hope not. I hope you're not like, well, let's look at, there's no Chinese people here. You please tell me you're not that stupid. They're not gonna be Chinese, morons. That would be too obvious. Oh yeah, because you know Americans aren't racist enough. Let's not suspect the guy that you know he looks like that, and everybody that comes from that region looks like that. No, they know that. They're not stupid. They understand our eyes look different. Okay. Yeah. Do you know what that comes from? By the way, do you know what that comes from? You know, it's actually it's interesting if you know what the evolution is of that. Do you know what it comes from? It's the evolution in the history of the Chinese people being farmers. Way back. You know, like essentially the Shaolin and their ancient history, where they're really just farmers defending themselves. And they're always out in the fields and they're always squinting, you know, kind of doing this, squinting, and then hence the big hats eventually. They're literally just, you know, like rice fields and stuff like that. They literally were just farmers. Like all of them. It was farmland. So that's why the people that were warmongers, this is the history of evolution, guys. Warmongers don't understand how to grow crops because that needs tender, loving care. So then they go and take over a country where they have TLC. You know, they need, you know, don't go chasing waterfalls, guys. Okay. But seriously, you know, that's seriously how it works, where the war people, they just have too much of the gung ho, and they need to get married and have somebody they care about or something like that, to not be like that. And to see life like that. Otherwise, they just think it's about conquering and taking and stuff. And then the people that have been there, they know they're just defending themselves, and these people just attack. And the point is that they don't have that TLC, because the point is, anything they do, they can't think about it right. They can't give it attention and care. They're always, you know, trying to, this takes too long. Let's just go kill something and eat it. Like it's that. Like they didn't want to grow plants. They didn't want to, they wanted to take the easy route where they knew how to do this. So let's just do it that way. So, um, this is the ever growing issue where, I think this current generation just misses this part where there's all this misinformation about, like just the memes of LGBTQ being the center of, like where they put that there that's the misinformation to confuse you, because you have all these trans people and stuff like that, and people's feelings attached to it. So it's to confuse you about the evolution of things, where you would think that, it's bad to be sensitive, and and stuff like that at times. And quite frankly, no. The whole point is the leader, the person that leads the army or the group or something like that. They're the person that understands how to properly take care of those things, because they're not the one that's going to constantly send the troops out that are harmed or something like that, just to be unalived immediately or something like that. You know what I mean? They're going to properly do those things, take care of those people. The people learn, get stronger, and then they go out there even better. And then the other soldiers come, like that's the intelligent. Whereas, somebody else would just be like, I don't care, you get stronger by not giving up, and it's just not the case. People are human. So the whole planet's like this. Like life is like that. The planet itself is like that, where you can't just take too much, or it fights back. And that's life in general. So, um people definitely misunderstand that, I think, in the common, the common the modern world, for sure. But anyway, regardless, regardless, I do think that in what's going on today is, if we think about the issue, think about it like this. I've talked about intelligence and stuff like that, and what could possibly be happening in other countries and whatnot. I've talked about many things with this. What you have to realize too with this is, um, for example, all right, let's say we start doing something for the first time, and we need to figure out how to do it too. So here's what's going to happen. Let's say the country Russia, uh, that their biggest thing, they got that down. They know how to do it, and all that. But we are figuring that out now. And so let's say, because we want to do that now, and they've always done that, and now the guy that's in the president's position, the current president, is more pro Russia. So what he's going to do is he's going to allow Russia to meddle in the technology we're trying to develop, just because he knows this is going to stunt our production and force us to get this stuff from Russia. And of course, what I'm talking about is refining oil. we have had trouble refining oil. Not again, we have plenty of oil, we can drill for it. Again, I think even Obama, right? But definitely Biden was domestically drilling for oil. And Trump reversed this and forced us to start importing from Russia again, which is obviously what we don't want, which is why our gas prices are high. And they're up over, it's like $4.50. That's ridiculous. So Russia is, we're having trouble refining it, is what they're claiming. So Russia is meddling in our technology so that we can't, it looks like this stuff, right? I've explained that none of this shit should be happening. It's a complete facade. They're messing with your instrumentation to lie to you so that you get inaccurate readings. You don't get things that are correct. You get false things and stuff. This is all connected to your wireless internet and shit like that, right? Because again, it's all botting and computers and whatnot. So again, this is what you get on a grid where you limit all the routers to American routers, no foreign routers, no VPNs, no hardwired connections. This is what you get. And now they endlessly sabotage our oil refinery business, where we can drill, but we're having problems refining it. Well, why? This is a very easy process that we know how it works. Why are we having problems refining it? We know how oil refineries work. What are you, fucking insane? I could look up an AI chat that tells me how that shit works. That's basic. And you're trying to... Jesus. Walter White could explain how oil refining works. And it's not like we've never had them. We just primarily get our oil from Russia. We have some for various things, but not for like motor oil and gas and stuff. That's what you have to understand. So why is it suddenly becoming a problem? What were the things in Beverly Hills Cop 2 when the guy took a run? Let me see the things. What was that? What was it? Do you remember? Very classically, he took a run. Remember? And that when that he was in Beverly Hills at that point, right? So that would have been in Beverly Hills that was supposedly happening. I don't know. Do they actually have him out there? I have no idea. But I know that they didn't have CGI at the time, and they wouldn't sit here and make some sort of model and stuff that moves. No, they're just taking a, it's just a part of the scenery, We have them. Why are you pretending like we don't? Why are you pretending like this is something we can't? Well, we can't figure it out. Gosh darn it, man. That oil refiner, boy, that's tough. Refining oil, this shit we've been putting in our cars since forever. Boy, that's tough. What? Are you just running it through a filter a whole shitload of fucking times? Like, I'll be honest, I don't know how it works, but isn't that basically what you're doing? You're just running it through various filters, right? Removing sludge and stuff. It makes sense. How is this hard? How is this hard? I guess it's a parts per million. You're probably putting stuff in there so it's not as flammable. You don't want to blow the thing up that you're using the oil with, right? It has to be a certain grade of flammable, I suppose. But I mean, like, we can do this. So what's throwing off your parts per million or something? Like, what? Are you this dumb? I think so. I think just, again, anybody in government that seems competent, the Trump administration is going to go in there and try to make sure that that person either doesn't have any power in government anymore or just tries to get rid of them entirely. McConnell. Or McConnell has always been somebody that's been pro-Trump. And right when he can't even, like, we don't hear from him, he's hospitalized. There's this ridiculous picture that we got to talk about. Yeah, there's nothing normal about it. They can't put many forms of points of verification. They can't put a bunch of different stuff in that image for us to definitively be like, yep, without a shadow of a doubt. He has to sort of barely have the paper and it's half off the damn image. And, you know, like, I mean, come on. Like, you could do it better. And not only that, you could accept the fact that this idiot has been a loyalist ever since he did that illegal thing where, oh, I promise I will not be an impartial juror. I can promise you that. After literally right before he swears on an impeachment trial that he must. That's treasonous, man. I don't care. And regardless, the point is that this is the same guy that proves he's that much of a loyalist. The point is, why are they keeping his seat? Why? Why? Like, why is this? Remember when they didn't pick Merrick Garland? Remember when they left the seat vacant, the Supreme Court justice pick after Obama, and he warned about this? This was the warning for the future. Like, holy damn shit, we never do this. We just, you know, they appoint somebody and they have, you know, and just left the seat vacant for the first time and a super long amount of time. That was an absurd amount of time to leave this Supreme Court justice seat just vacant. And again, also that Trump would pick their guy, you know, Brett Kavanaugh, instead of Merrick Garland. Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is Brett Kavanaugh? Who the hell is that? Who the hell? Nobody cares about this guy. And he's supposed to be somebody that decides things, and he's called a judge, and he's honorable. And he's supposed to be honorable. No. That's the asshole that when a cop pulls him over, he's going to look at the cop and he's going to be like, what the hell's the matter with you? Why are you pulling me over? You better run those plates right now before you lose your job. You better run those plates before you lose your job. He's that asshole. Where the rest of us have to accept consequences. Even cops getting pulled over. Even the chief, the actual chief of police of this one, you know, the body cam we're talking about. He has to accept it, and he did. He took it on the chin because he has a pair of balls. He didn't have his face blocked out. I like that guy. No, I didn't like that he was speeding, but I like that guy because he has a pair of balls. He didn't do anything after the fact. It's there. You can see it. His own trooper pulls him over, and she's like, "You're not gonna believe this. We got," and they know who it is, and he's there with his friend or something like that. And he was joyriding in his Charger, going real fast. There's no excuse, but he took it on the chin. Literally didn't give the guy a hard time. Just knew he got it, and just you could tell from his face. He just, great. It'd be nice if we had more people like that. But meanwhile, Brett Kavanaugh's the fucker that when he gets pulled over, you better run those plates before you get fired. Ugh. He's the one controlling you. He's the one. He's the reason you're randomly arresting people, and you don't even know why. Just some douchebag said, "Yep, here's a." That's why. Some fucking dumbass judge. That they literally can do that. You know that, right? That's the point. That's what's happening. ICE, Brett Kavanaugh. Yeah, you do you get it now? Yeah, he's just like, "Yep, that's fine. Here you go. Yep, that one's fine." Oh, he's Spanish? Even better. That's what he's doing. And so as it becomes more obvious, they're going to be like, "Okay, well, we got to throw some white people in there." So who the fuck who do we not care about? Let's throw some white people in there. Who do we not care about? Oh, there's this guy that has this gun, that he's a nurse and he's really nice to people and he's a Democrat. Okay, let's follow this guy around, get him to pull his gun out and harass him. Let's do that. Oh, his name is Alex too. Good. We're trying to run an anti-Alex campaign. We're trying to get everybody in America, because this is a very American, like, people like this name. So we're just trying to run the campaign and get everybody to hate this name anyway. So perfect anyway. Perfect. It's a psyop. There's so many psyops being run right now, and you can't even comprehend just how many. And one of them is the Flock security system, where police are violating your rights every day with all these cameras. And in addition to that, any fucking person, any person with with a cell phone, a few pieces of software, and internet. Yeah, cell phone. They don't even need a PC. Most of the time they should. They probably do. But basically, cell phone, internet, and some software, and they can hack these cameras. Anybody. Oh, you don't. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't. Oh, you don't buy it? Okay, here you go. I'm sorry. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Give me 1 second. That's fine. I understand. It seems crazy, right? I understand. Give me a second. I know. It does. It seems crazy, doesn't it? It does. I understand that. I get it. Um, Give me 1 second. There you go. There you go. 2.2 million views on that one, and it's new. There you go. I'm not the only one talking about it. And again, this guy, he started D-Flock because, again, somebody should. And I appreciate it because he's right. It's a complete violation of your rights. They can just do whatever they want with that, and people can hack it and manipulate the police because they're a bunch of idiots that just are going to rely on this stuff to be accurate and always tell them the truth. Well, what if a scammer wants you to think that that person that you're running random facial rec on in fucking Walmart, which, by the way, is what we're talking about. We're talking about them running facial rec randomly as you're walking around Walmart and shit. That's what we're talking about. Okay? And yes, it's false flags. That's how a scammer gets somebody's data into the system. They're doing that on purpose. So somebody that would never normally be in the system is now in the system and easily accessible and hackable, just because police endlessly have databases that are stupidly breachable. Just stupidly breachable. Like mom and pop shit. Like they got old ass fucking router from 1997. Yeah, they boot it's yeah. That's what we're talking about with them. And so they don't understand. They're just like, oh yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine. It's totally fine to violate people's rights. Hey, you know what? I have a better idea. Let's put a shitload of cameras at every fucking traffic light in the country, in every state, at, you know, just all, before or after, like, you know, all the restaurants and Walmarts, so that way we can connect the data of all the spending of all the people in these areas. And then that way we give everybody, every scammer across the planet, everything that they've always wanted to be able to track people as soon as they buy things. So, you know, they're making their electronic purchases, they swipe their card, whatever, and just start following them around the rest of the day. And right there's a camera for you. Right fucking there. Just right there. And so, you know, you're so fucking dumb, you don't understand and get that Walmart's doing it to learn what people at Lowe's buy. Police are doing it to violate your rights. And then the scammers are doing it to steal money. So all these people are just taking advantage of you. In plain as day, in plain sight. Now, let's talk about, again, we talked about this before. We talked about this in the stream yesterday. So what do I mean by this? So let's talk about what I mean by this. And we'll get this up. As you can see, we're going to load this up. And here is a system, as you can see. What we're going to look at here is we're going to zoom out. This is how many cameras are just in this system in the United States. On the street, following you and tracking you, that police can look at any given time. They're just tracking you wherever you go. And some of you have these cameras right outside your houses, pointing at your development, looking at your yard. You can sue the police department that runs these and win. It's a violation of your rights. You cannot record the front or into somebody's yard regularly every day. This is incredibly, insanely illegal. It is incredibly illegal to record the front. I mean, even officers are getting sued just for, you know, like walking around like the back of somebody's house or something like that. But, you know, to think that you can actually take a picture into, you know, a regular video spying on somebody's yard every day No, 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 no. That is that person's private property. You do not have any right to photograph, video, or otherwise surveil. It's illegal surveillance of a private residence. Furthermore, and henceforth, any one of these cameras that's randomly placed is illegal surveillance. You are following people around. You cannot do that. The only time this is acceptable on a court level is when you have like a highway and you're sticking a camera. There's so many cars through that people are running these pay tolls and you can't possibly keep up with it. That's the only time that's reasonably acceptable because there's so much traffic, you can't possibly keep up with it. Just because you have a shopping center does not give you the right to spy on everybody at that shopping center. It does not. You are bending this around what I just said. Just like the Miller Law here in Pennsylvania, where they created an entire law, conveniently after Trump comes into office, where it would probably get blocked by the feds. They would never allow this, and it violates your rights. To literally try to say that you can't use your GPS while stopped at a fucking... I want you to try. I will sue the fucking shit out of you. I want you to prove in court that I was looking at my GPS. I would... Oh my God. And that this was a distraction to my driving, not the other way around. Because again, a quick look at a GPS... Oh, okay. Now I know what I need to do. Versus being confused and trying to look down and look up while driving. That's the distraction. This deters... This is actually would cause people to be more distracted, where you're not allowed to do it at a traffic light. So if a cop pulls up, you would actually be hesitant to do it there. You'd be more likely to do it while you're moving because it's a lot harder for them to see it. And so this is where police need to do a better job of policing. The behavior is to try to control you more instead of using your brain to find more constructive manners of finding out that they aren't driving correctly. Just like all these goddamn cars that I'm showing you, that all I got to do is drive around, and they're doing it in the same spots. It's the same spot. So all you got to do is figure out where is somebody intentionally driving where they know no cops are, that they're looking at their phone, they're doing all this shit, and you're so dumb, you need to make a law that says, oh, let's make it so that people can't look down at their device while they're driving. We're going to try to dictate what people are doing in their cars. You can't do that. That's a violation of my rights. I'm in my car. I am sitting there minding my own business, trying to drive, and you are trying to say that you have a law that can govern what I can do with my fucking eyeballs? Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not, and I would challenge that in any goddamn fucking court. That's disgusting. You're filthy. Because now you are trying to govern what people do with their eyes. You're disgusting. You have a much more effective and less toxic way of doing that. And it's called sitting there and observing your witness testimony that you saw them look up or look down. You don't want to do it because you lie too much. This is the problem. Too many cops are getting caught lying. The problem is all these cops start their investigations with, oh, if you don't lie to me, I'm going to go easy on you and stuff goes easier for you. Every last one of them. It's every department. So the problem is when they're having an issue with a shitload of cops now just lying, that sort of kind of goes out the window, and you have a harder time of enforcing things with the public when they know blatantly cops just regularly manipulate the truth, because we're expected to be honest, yet you can lie. If I lie to a cop, it's illegal, completely illegal. Yet a cop can lie to me the first sentence he says to me. No. This by itself is incredibly manipulative. So, under those parameters, again, you do not deserve the right to make a law that helps you do your job better. That law does not serve me at all. It serves you. It doesn't help the public. You named it Miller's Law because somebody died in a texting and driving accident, and you want to play at the strings of people. Yeah. Yeah. So, this is incredibly stupid, and I actually disagree with it with the other states that do it too. I do. People pulling over, if people actually did this as often as you think that they're texting and talking, if they did this, it would be a safety risk. You would see people all the time pulled over, and there would be nowhere for them. 60 to 70% of the time you pull over in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and specifically in this county, you will run over a horseshoe nail and a nail will be in your tire and you will have to replace it. About 60 to 70% of the time. They're just on the side of the road. I am almost never going to pull over when stones and all this shit is always on the side of the road. You know, right through Morgantown where these dumbass cameras are, where these cops are yeah, right after I was complaining that, it's almost like they did it on purpose. All through the intersection, there's loose fucking stones on just paved road. There's just giant, like, stones. Like, or if you run over them, they'll rocket up. And they're in the intersection, placed loosely, and they're big. Yeah, they're there every day. I've driven past for the past 3 days, and they've been there for the past 3 days. The cops don't do anything. That's their fucking job. You know, if you're serving and protecting, you should be out there with a fucking broom, parked with your lights on the side of the road, sweeping that road. Dumbass. Dumbass. I would. And then everybody in the community would respect me. They'd see that and they'd be like filming that and it would go viral. Oh, imagine that. Stupid. Yet every day you don't do your fucking job. Every fucking day it's sitting there and I gotta drive past there. Oh, and it's after conveniently I mentioned that stones on the road damage cars and that this area does it specifically for the purpose of giving you car repairs. That's why they do it, actually. Because Pennsylvania in general, look at this. Pennsylvania in general has a shitload of dealerships, and they have a... Trust me, they will destroy your car. This state will destroy your car if they want. They will destroy it on purpose. They want to sell cars. Why did I just watch a second like turn to 1? Why did I watch that just happen just now? Why did I watch a second like just turn to 1? Right when I said that. Because we're calling out bullshit, violating people's rights. Is that why? Is that why I saw that? So this is Lancaster. That's actually not that bad, I guess. This is ridiculous that the thing's not even fucking, like, that's just garbage. That's Google, though. Yeah, it's not this, it's Google that's doing that. That's that data, lovely data we talked about that's lagging behind. They're doing it on purpose to slow me down here. See, all this shit's just jammed together here. I can't even find my own fucking shit. This is the problem with Pennsylvania. I don't even fucking know where it is. You know what I mean? Like I can look at a map of Florida and find stuff faster than here. Like this is actually a problem. Like here's New Holland. Like where the fuck? You get what I'm saying? Like this shit's just dumb as hell. King of Prussia. Laid out fucking stupid. PA is just laid out. Their roads are just trash. So here's what we're talking about. And it's this light here. Right here. No, not that one. Yeah, no, it's that. Wait. That's Route 10. No, that's 10. Sorry. It's this one. This light. What road is that? Yep, it's this one. This one right here. That traffic light. Right there. There's literally just stones there. Just big ass fucking stones. Right there. Right at that light. That's a very, very busy light because there's a fucking casino over here and it leads to the turnpike. Like there's so much traffic there and they're on purpose doing that. So you're about to you're coming off a highway or going on a highway and you're trying to screw with people's brakes. You do realize that we're talking about like brakes and stuff like that. Like stones are bad for brakes. And I've already explained that in any new car, any new American car anyway. Now, some foreign cars have their problems too, but any new American car, it's a scam. And this is the Trump administration too, where they're the feds, responsible feds would investigate. So when you have a wheel sensor that's off or disconnected in a Ford or a Chevy, I don't know about Dodge, but Ford or Chevy, both of them, this will make the entire fucking car run like shit on purpose. It will use more of the engine. It will destroy your transmission. Promise, it will destroy your TCC and your transmission. Destroy it. All because of a wheel sensor. Because they want you to think something is seriously wrong with it and your mechanic is bad so that you go to the dealer. They want more people to go to the dealer. I swear to God, even my brakes didn't work right. Like, I had to really push on my brake pedal. Yeah, a wheel sensor. And I swear to God, my brake pedal wouldn't even lift up all the way. I watched it happen. Yep, because I created a scenario where I tested this, where I disabled the wheel sensor and watched as my RPMs did something weird. I literally watched as I then tried to use any power in the device and everything was all or nothing. And then I watched as the brake pedal went from all the way up to it like went like halfway down. What the fuck? A wheel sensor? What the fuck? So destroy the car and make it run like shit just because, you know, sensor. I'd rather my brake and my wheel all run like shit and turn to shit than the fucking transmission, you dumb retards. You goddamn scamming fucking retards. So, this has been my like, I have been researching and spending a lot of time on this. This is what I've been spending a lot of research and time on is like, is this correct? And it is. The ones saying this, they got it right. They know what they're talking about, and I'm not the only one saying it. Trust me, it is happening, and it is American cars. I think it's GMC too. I'm not 100%. I've just heard that. I don't know for sure. But I do know it's Ford and Chevy. Both. And can confirm from personal experience that it is. That is on purpose to get you to go to the dealer. It's half the time, again, it's a wheel sensor. Some people call them speed sensors. It's a wheel sensor. It detects the movement of the wheels. It's all it's doing. It's literally all it's doing. So this is some weird spying thing. This is some weird spying thing where the CIA wants to be able to know that, you know, how fast your wheels are going and stuff. And, you know, if they want to be able to veer your car off the road at any minute, they need to be able to do it. That's what this is. It's literally all about creating that scenario where, you know, oh, if you don't have a wheel sensor working, oh, we're going to make your car run like fucking garbage because we don't want you driving too far and too fast. Disgusting. The Trump administration's disgusting. And Microsoft, Windows 11, again, we've talked about plenty of sabotage going on with Windows and Microsoft, but the latest thing, again, I've said this before, but again, if you sit here and you leave your PC connected to the internet all the time, you will get loaded up with all kinds of shit, all this fucking shit, all this shit, causing all these problems all the time. I even get an ad regularly in Windows for Adobe products. I don't have bloatware, I don't have ads, I have nothing running that's Adobe. I did that stupid fucking update and finally got that thing, like, again, I have done that a million times, but I finally got it to stop the update thing. So once I figured that out, now they're advertising. Now Adobe is another company that does this. So again, they are doing it too. And I will literally get an ad in my system tray for some fucking Adobe bullshit to use the cloud storage and shit. This is data. They're actually advertising to me illegally. And then not only that, they want me to give them my info and shit and store it in their cloud so they can stare at it and learn more shit about me. I mean, that disgusting. Same reason Microsoft does it with the cloud so they can give all of your data to the government. The same reason Google does it so they can give all your data to the government. The federal government is buying your fucking data so that they can illegally spy on you. Okay, so under an ethical administration, I sort of support that because, again, the feds don't momentarily care about this. They're not trying to meddle. But these feds, where they do corrupt, illegal, criminal things, oh yeah. And especially they're going to do this to people that are saying things about them and attack people for free speech reasons because they're pieces of shit. What criminal and bully do you know ever let you talk shit about them? Ever. That's the point. They're a criminal and they're a bully because, again, you can't talk shit. Why not? Who cares? Why do you care so much? It's just a joke. Why do you care? Just a joke. Okay? Well, because there's stock in that. You're saying the things that they are doing. They're incredibly illegal. They make them look bad. So they're actually doing real things to cause harm to people that talk about that. This is why this is all this shit. Spying on people, manipulating their lives. You know, you infographics just covered this thing where our cardboard, our box making manufacturing facilities. Again, we got plenty of trees here in the United States of A. Yet Donald Trump is buying up land in the timber industry, if you remember, way back, like they used to do. And he is sitting here and dominating that market just like he always does to shut it down. And seemingly overnight, I have seen tons of things where you could normally get a box for this or a box for that. Not anymore. Not anymore. And Donald Trump bankrupted, caused these fucking companies to shut down on purpose using his filthy tariff, disgusting manipulative means. No more, oh yeah, because, you know, we don't have plenty of trees and shit like that. So costs for maintaining it became a problem. And so all these facilities shut down and you can't get boxes anymore. Cardboard is going to become a thing of the past. And we are furthering into this third world country feel where we're back in the Soviet Union days, you know, Secretary of War instead of defense. You know, the power just goes out all the fucking time because, you know, Donald goddamn jackass orange face Trump wants it to. Not because there's actually a problem, but because, again, Microsoft is literally buying up power companies for the sake of working with him to sabotage you because they're making money off of it. Jesus Christ. Microsoft should own 3 Mile Island, for crying out loud. Anyway, DFlock. Check this out. Go zoom in on the cameras. You can literally see it for yourself. dflock.org. You can look at it and then you'll find out, do the research. You'll find out all the different local law enforcement, all the different police stations everywhere in all these states just operate the cameras and stare at them all fucking day. That's why these fat lazy fucks aren't out on the road. And again, the people that are, they're struggling. They always need backup because this is what they're fucking doing. This. Endless. Oh, more dispatch. There's fucking, instead of one person, there's now like 3 or 4 sitting there, right? Why do you need 3 or 4 for dispatch? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yep. All right, guys. See ya.